apartment building. But that didn't stop them there. They then moved into the paddy fields and destroyed 25 bighas of standing crop and several banana trees. One storage godown was also reduced to rubble. The herd has 2 young males, 3 calves and 8 female elephants. Alright, now if you think that's bad, well, there's more. The villagers sent an SOS to the forest department for help, but they got no response. Now, ominously, the herd remains on the village's outskirts, and the already badly hit villagers are living in mortal fear of another trampling. Alright, let me go across to my colleague Abhijit Nanji Mozumdar and find out more about this incident. Abhijit, clearly this is a group of villagers living in danger, mortal danger. Why do you think the forest department hasn't responded? What is really being said out here?
Gautam, that's the million-dollar question, because I have been trying to speak to a lot of senior forest department officials and they don't have any answer, because that is one area, Gautam, where there have been elephant strikes. In fact, in the last 6 months, this is the 3rd time that a herd of elephants has come from the forest, from the Jharkhand area, from Jharkhand. That's the area borders the Bengal, Jharkhand, and basically it's very, very prone to such kind of attacks by a herd of elephants, and they are absolutely scared. They are put in a deputation to the forest department, but for reasons best known to the forest officials, they are unable to take any action, any preventive measures so far.
Alright, now you're saying that a situation is there which is extremely precarious. There is, of course, villagers who are practically defenseless against this herd of elephants. Have you heard of the villagers themselves trying to do something to fend this impending danger?
Gautam, it's very difficult for the villagers to do anything in this case, because say about 20 to 25 elephants on an average, Gautam, since the last time, in the last, this is the third occasion, but then they go back when they turn the leaf back. In every occasion, it's been over 20 to 25 elephants who have raided the village, and it's very difficult. They claim there are about on an average 100 to 150 villagers in their area, and it's very difficult for 150 of them to put up a fight against 25 strong, huge elephants. So they are at the wit's end, on tenterhooks, absolutely, and they are totally dependent on the forest department officials who are completely letting them down. In fact, I tried to contact the forest minister, who was not available on the phone, but the forest secretary mentioned that they are trying their best, but apparently if you speak to the villagers there, the best of the forest department officials not enough to guarantee a safe life for the villagers in that area.
Alright, Abhijit, for the benefit of our viewers, could you tell us why do these incidents keep on repeating themselves when we keep on also hearing that state governments are spending a lot of money to develop elephant corridors so that this sort of situation doesn't happen anymore?
Gautam, there are 25 to 30 villages in that vicinity which falls in the elephant corridor, so-called elephant corridor, because I'll call it the so-called, because the West Bengal government forest department officials have so far been unable to earmark those corridors and take any preventive measure to ensure that the elephants do not hamper the life of the human being. So these 25 villages, they fall in that area, and there are dense forests in Jharkhand, there are dense forests in Bankura, and which leads up to Odisha. So this is the journey through which the elephant takes, and then these villages come in between.
Okay, Abhijit, just stay on the line. Let me also go across to Sameer Sinha, who's joining us on the phone line. He's of course with Traffic India, WWF, head in fact of Traffic India. Sameer, thanks a lot for joining us. So now in this situation, we hear that the forest department has been contacted by these panicked set of villagers because the elephants are still on the periphery there. Why do you think the forest department has not responded? Do they not have the capability to defend human populations from such herds of elephants which come into conflict with them?
I'm not sure what's the situation in this typical case, but to the best of my knowledge, the West Bengal department has a good team of people and they have a good track record in looking after elephant depredation cases. So I can't comment as far as this particular case is concerned.
But Samir, is it also because we've seen that whenever such man-animal conflicts result, normally it's the animal which ultimately suffers, and a lot of hue and cries are also raised about that, especially by animal rights group. Is this why now the Forest Department has probably decided that let's not step into it and hope that it blows away?
I'm sorry, this is not a situation which can be left off, and I'm aware that the Forest Department probably knows it as well as anybody else. I guess the whole issue is again because management of large animals like elephants requires large spaces, and it is these shrinking spaces which is causing all the problem. Elephants are known to move across large areas in their search for food, and this movement is a part of their routine. And gradually, as we are blocking those corridors, cutting across those forests, which is why elephants, as part of their memory, they do try and search those traditional routes. And when they don't find any, this is where the conflict begins. And as you said in the very beginning, at the end of the day, it's always the animal which gets the blame.
Is there, in fact, Samir, a well-established drill how to deal with such man-animal conflict situations? And cannot the villagers, the people in the local area, be sensitized enough to deal with it on their own if there is lack or lack of timely response, at least from the administration and the forest officials?
Yes, there are in fact quite a few methods that are generally practiced to try and keep away elephants from agricultural food. Yes, there are methods usually which can be taken care of by the communities themselves, at least in most of the occasions. But,
and they are sensitized about them.
I think the problem is that when these things happen, everybody gets so excited, everybody wants to do everything at the same time, which is why a planned response to these kind of situations is usually more in theory than actually what happens in practice.
Alright, so it seems that perhaps a drill needs to be established very well with especially these areas which are susceptible to such man-animal conflicts. Right now, of course, a situation is still existing where this sort of a conflict can really go out of hand in Birbhum district of West Bengal. Thanks a lot for joining us in the meantime, Samir Sinha of Traffic India WWF. Now the story is not very different in Orissa as well. The pictures that we're about to show you are of a group of elephants that ran amok in Sundargarh, leaving a trail of destruction. They trampled crops and destroyed several huts. Now, the rampage of these elephants came to an end after the villagers retaliated, which is not happening right now in Birbhum, as we're told. Now, the villagers here in Orissa chased the elephants away using firecrackers and drums. The latest incident comes in the wake of the Orissa government's plan to create a corridor for elephants to avoid such conflicts. Under the 54 crore rupee management plan, 9 elephant corridors will be revived and new passages earmarked. Steps would also be taken to provide security to the elephants in their natural habitat. But the real question is, will that be enough, and will there be appropriate and timely response? Now, usually when there's a clash between man and elephant, it's the animal which gets the short end of the stick. In fact, it doesn't really stand a chance when the response of man enters into the areas of brutality. Let's now get you a tragic tale of an innocent animal driven to death by man. An elephant tranquilized and then left to drown in a river. Worse still, the tusker was hung from a crane to be viewed by amused locals.
Curious onlookers surrounding the body of a dead elephant in Alapura. The carcass of the creature hanging from a crane, an extremely painful and sorry sight. But the ill fate of this innocent animal is brought about by the brutality of man. The pachyderm Shiv Sankaran was driven to death by residents of the area. The tragedy unfolded when Shiv Sankaran